All right, that was a good one, I must say. I remember when we were kids at Tinuke, we had the privilege of using, we made our own toys.
Yes, we did.
We
I even made
our
mine.
toys.
Yes.
You know, I know Mr. Shola can attest to the fact that he used giri giri, you know, you know, where you had to burn tires and then that metal fabric within the tires were used. You get, what do you call it? You get a hanger, design it in such a way that's more like a handle to you help guard.
Yeah, those were for boys.
For the boys,
yes, because I remember making kites. Yes, and then we'll compete the one that had the ability to fly higher.
I didn't know how to make kites. I wasn't exactly too much of an ajebota, you know, that kind of thing. But it's okay. It's beautiful seeing how innovative children can be. Sometimes we want to go so easy on children and not allow them use their hands. I've seen CEOs who were inspired just by using toys, you know, to build castles and what have you. They call it Legos,
Yes,
using Legos
yes.
and all of that amazing stuff. So right now we're going into our next discussion, and that will be flooding in Nigeria, averting looming food crisis. That has been a serious concern for a cross-section of Nigerians, given the level of destruction to farmlands. Nigeria has done considerably well when it comes to rice farming, but now there are doubts as to whether we can actually sustain ourselves come next year by the time the draining season is over and all of that. So we'll take this report. It was from the last Executive Council meeting, and the Minister of Agriculture spoke extensively about the plans of the federal government to cushion the effects of food shortage. As a matter of fact, he sounded a bit too optimistic that there wouldn't be a case of food shortage in Nigeria. But let's listen to him, and we'll be back to go into the conversation.
About 1.6 trillion naira. This industry also is really largely populated by rural dwellers, about 70%. So the objective here, make sure we have a robust preparedness plan that in case of any additional outbreak. Even currently, you know, we have sporadic, periodic outbreaks, again, that is plaguing the industry, which is why we have to upgrade to make sure we're always ready to move on.
The floods have grossly affected farmers. The federal government is looking at ways to help them deal with the losses.
The government always will have a plan of action or emergency. What can the government do? What can the government do also to compensate those that don't have insurance? Not really compensation, but assist, come to their aid. We have that plan, and we are already activating, pending when we will finish all the assessment.
As apprehension about food shortages grows across the country, the Minister of Agriculture is confident that the plans the federal government have in place will address this concern.
One, first and foremost, we have in place an intensive plan for dry season farming. We have gotten funding from the African Development Bank. So we have some money that we are already planning to do dry season farming. Also, areas of conflict. We are recruiting additional rangers. Previously, I told you, I think in another forum that we have agro rangers that provide some measure of security on farmlands. We are recruiting more to do that. Also, we are intensifying farming in areas that have no conflict to make up for those areas that we are getting little or no access.
All right, that was the Honorable Minister of Agriculture speaking there about the government's level of preparedness to deal with the issue of food shortage next year. And I would like to ask Atinuke here in the studio, even without the food shortage, I mean, the rice, the price for the bag of rice is going high by the day. And you begin to wonder what it will be like. And you know how the Nigerian market is. People take advantage of misfortunes in a bid to make money.
Yeah.
So any plans to buy rice and put in stock probably will have to go into rice business.
I saw one meme yesterday, and someone put on seatbelt for his rice to show how expensive rice, yes, rice and other food prices will go up. Well, it's I'm not. Well, when I saw it, I said I was going to buy rice in portions. It's not a must I buy bag. I'll just buy the one I can afford.
Okay.
Because I learned now it is about 50,000 naira. Yes, a bag of rice.
Okay.
So I learned.
So I guess you got our guest thinking. John Desmond is here, and Shola is even saying behind the background,
Yes.
behind the
Shola
camera, that
is giving us 46, 41.
Okay. So John Desmond, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know, you are also a rice farmer.
Yes.
And all of that. 50, 41. What are we dealing with right now? And we're looking at food shortage in 2023. The flood is not giving us hope of any sort. Though the Minister of Agriculture is saying there's going to be aggressive irrigation farming, you know, and all of that. So how do we balance all of this?
Now for the rising in the price of rice, it's due to a lot of factors. For instance, for the past 3 months, you notice that the cost of diesel, which is a major source of energy or power in rice processing, has also been rising more than 500%. So you don't expect processors or those who produce the rice to sell it at the normal 22, 23, 24 or 30,000 that everybody knows. That is number one. Then number two, this year the cost of herbicides for farming, you know, as of last year, for instance, we bought it 1,800, and this year we are buying it 4,000. So what is the difference? 230% increase. So who pays for this? Then other things we look at is, you know, agriculture in Nigeria is where government comes up with a lot of programs, projects, and they are not. They are just a merely statement. You know, a lot of Nigerians are happy, or that we're talking of fuel subsidy, but unfortunately, yes, not 50% of Nigerians own car, but 100% of Nigerians eat food. So, if we are to subsidize anything to crash this price, we have to go to the agricultural sector and mainly the food sector. Then the other thing is the machinery. Most of the machinery that are used to produce rice are not made here. They are not produced here. And we import them. And then the way we get forest is very poor. The CBN needs to do a lot of things. Sometimes you have to queue for 3 months. Sometimes you don't even get it. So indirectly, processors are going out of their way to source for forex to bring in machinery, because an average Nigerian is used to what we call foreign rice. And now that there is an embargo on foreign rice, at least, although we have foreign rice that is still in the market in Nigeria, what we do now is to meet up the demand and to meet up that standard. Now, in meeting that demand and standard, you need to bring the same kind of machines or machinery that are used to produce over there down to this place. And the delay you meet in sourcing forex, in clearing. So government needs to put an express policy that will come in form of maximum support for those who are into Nigerian food industry, especially rice. If not, nobody can control that price.
All right. I recall one certain time when the federal government actually closed the border. So because of that, a lot of goods, especially foreign rice, were not entering the country. At that period, were there any change, any significant change? Because, you know, we always prefer solutions as being what means as being what is going to be the total solution. Was there any significant change in the prices or betterment in agriculture at that time?
of course, there's a significant change in price. Because when Nigerian government shut their borders, it's not only for rice, but the reason was for them to have some control, which they said. But let's look at the rice aspect of it. You know, the border towns are flooded with foreign rice. So individuals, household, you know, small, medium scale enterprise goes to those markets across our border to chip in rice. And those rice are industrial rice. So it affects the price of normal, you know, sweet, clean rice. It affects the price. But what you are taking is industrial rice. Okay. And it has effect which you don't know. So now that they shut the border, as of that, you know, I think the last time before the close of the border, rice was like 8,500 naira. Immediately it went to 12,000. And when it was left for the way to produce our rice, the price went to as far as 16,000. You know, the last time we saw was 24,000. As of today, from the dealer side, we are selling 30, 31 from the dealer side. I don't know what is sold at the retail markets. Okay,
but then now let's get to the crux of the matter here. Yes. Now. We're looking at a situation where lots of farms have been destroyed as a result of the flood. And this flood affected 33 states in Nigeria from record, you know. The federal government is saying they have plans for irrigation farming. And I'm here wondering, I know I've seen irrigation farming, how effective it can be in some core northern states. How effective do you think irrigation farming will come into play when you're looking at the massive rice fields we have? And let's stick to rice, but you know how it is when you farm rice, cultivate rice.
The flooding event that just took place recently has caused a lot of damage and is going to affect the market price of Nigerian rice as time goes on. Now, the project or the program that the federal government wants to launch, we are waiting for it. But you see, the federal government needs to work more with the local institution or the local government. Based on my personal experience, federal government, yes, they have rolled out different programs, but as let me say, we are stakeholder in rice production in FCT. I can tell you that we've never benefited from any federal government programs.
Like the Anchor Borers program?
No, we have you don't even know where it is. To be sincere. Is it that they are not doing it? They are doing it. But you see, the assessing process is cumbersome, is far for the local farmers. The processes. So if they can decentralize it to the ADP, they have, federal government has a lot of good programs to support that industry, the rice market. But just as I heard the Minister of Agriculture saying, we have been producing for the past 3 years. We have been producing every day. We have had contact, but we can't assess these things. So the Anchor Borough, for instance, it's aggregated under REFAN. Okay? So what do REFANs give to their members? Like peanuts. They just say chemicals, seedlings. You know, this actually is not enough to boost the expectation. What the federal government should do is to decentralize this thing. Let it come to the local level. Let them liaise with the local government. They should not just stay in Abuja and say, oh, we want to feed the nation through agriculture. Yes, it's a statement. But the local people, the real farmers, the real processors are not assessing this thing. And then look at the flood that has happened. They say they want to do irrigation. Well, we are waiting. But if you take it to the local government, for instance, the local government already knows the farmer. It's a small environment, it's a small community that we can access water pump, we can access land. You know, federal government is like a research project. That, you know, when you do a research, you have to do a kind of test to achieve your aim. That's what federal government don't do. They'll just present it as a white paper, no proper implementation. And that's going to affect us again.
Okay, let's quickly talk about loan. Loan, accessibility of loan, because I've attended quite
Loan.
yes,
From where?
that is what I'm talking. I have attended quite a lot of fora where they talk about loan, accessing loan. Apart from seedlings, I know that one way or the other people can access seedlings, but loan,
You see,
agricultural loan.
why some of us have hope in this country is that when you read some policy documents about our nation, you'll be so glad and happy that there is hope in Nigeria. But when you try to participate in those documents, to see how you can put it to reality, your hopes begins to dim. That is just the challenge. The Central Bank of Nigeria has loan for all sectors, including rice and food. But how is this loan disbursed? That's where the challenge is. It's disbursed through the banks. The bank has not modernized their risk assessment criteria. They are still using the obsolete Nigerian way of bringing collateral. So where do you want a young entrepreneur who is ready to change the narrative of the world to go and get collateral from? Only few banks are supporting some things that is going on. Only a few banks. And most people don't go to such bank.
All right. In a bit to round up, because we've fast run out of time, you've raised quite a number of issues, which I feel that subsequently we may still have to bring you back here and address those issues. But then, in the immediate term, what can you say to even inspire confidence among Nigerians? Because all you've painted, the picture you've painted here does not seem bleak. It appears the federal government are the only ones who are confident that there wouldn't be food shortage, and we know that rice is a staple food here in Nigeria. So what would you say directly to Nigerians to inspire some level of hope and confidence that we are not going to starve next year in 2013?
Well, there's enough food.
In 2023, I beg your pardon.
2023. Well, just get to know this. There's enough food in Nigeria, so don't be afraid that there's going to be food scarcity. Yes, we had floods. There are places that the flood was not much in the northern region, apart from some section of Kano, not the farmlands of Kano, okay? And I pray the Minister for Agriculture move to those areas where irrigation farming is already established to, to cushion the effect as soon as possible. Nigerians, there shouldn't be panic buying. We have enough rice. We have enough rice. No, because by the time you start panic buying, that's where the stock and the price will jack up. So they should not rush to buy. Then as we move towards the year, there's what we call urban agriculture. We can be part of the process of making food available for every family. It's not rice that is just all food, okay? But rice is one of the stable food in our homes. So urban agriculture, we aid. What I mean, there are things people you can do in your house that you can plant and have your own food in surplus to reduce the effect of this price increase daily. And that will help you as we move to 2023.
All right, so I hope Atinuke will imbibe the habit of
Urban
growing.
I have vegetables.
Agu,
Yes. I have my small garden.
You have your
Right
garden?
from time, yes. And I buy seedlings for the supermarkets.
Yes.
Yes, packed seedlings.
Impressive.
Seedlings, yes.
All right, John Desmond, thank you so much. Like I said, we're definitely going to have you here again and speak more in depth about some of these issues. But it's good to know that we wouldn't need to engage in panic buying, which of course has been a major problem over the years. I was hoping if we had time, I would have taken you up on the issue of rice farmers, rice dealers, bagging rice in foreign bags and all of that, but that's a conversation for a different day entirely.
That is because of the choice of Nigeria for foreign rice.
Okay. All right then. So gentlemen, ladies, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone who has been a part of this. Atinuke?
Yeah, thank you, and stay tuned, same time, same station next week.
Have a wonderful weekend.